Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. I am Saira Mujtaba and with me is Aparajita Nair, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring to you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. Made in India passenger aircraft to take to the skies soon, connecting small cities and towns in the country, asserts Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi. President of India Draupadi Murmu lays emphasis on wide publicity of country's art, traditions and culture through new technology. Blue economy of India to be the next GDP multiplier, says Controller and Auditor General of India. Women 20 Inception meeting under India's G20 presidency begins in Maharashtra. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky fires a senior military commander. Iran's currency hits new low amid anti-government protests. 5.6 magnitude earthquake hits Turkey, toppling more buildings, 1 person killed. And tornadoes and severe winds destroy homes, leaving several injured across central United States. And now the news in detail. President of India Draupadi Murmu has laid emphasis on wide publicity of the country's art, traditions and culture through new technology. President Murmu was addressing the inaugural function of Rashtriya Sanskriti Mahotsav at Bikaner in Rajasthan on Monday. She said that it is necessary to match technology with traditions and science with art. Technology is also being adopted in the field of art and culture. She added, through the internet, the talent of new and young artists is also spreading in every corner of the country. The President said, Indian culture has been of high quality since ancient times and we should be proud of our rich and prosperous traditions. Ms. Murmu opined that new ideas should also be given a place in traditions which can connect the youth and future generations with them. She said that it is very important that the youth and children also understand the importance of precious heritage of the country.
राष्ट्रीय संस्कृति महोत्सव जैसे कार्यक्रम देश की कला और संस्कृति को तो बढ़ावा देते ही है, साथ ही साथ राष्ट्रीय एकता की भावना को भी और मजबूत बनाते हैं। इस तरह के सांस्कृतिक आयोजनों से हमारा देशवासियों को हमारी संपन्न तथा समृद्ध संस्कृति और विभिन्न क्षेत्रों की विशेषताओं को जानने और समझने का अवसर भी मिलता है।
President Murmu said there is no dearth of artists and art in the villages, but it is the need of the hour to find artistic talents in the rural parts of the country. Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi has exuded confidence that in the coming days, Made in India passenger aircraft will take to the skies, connecting small cities and towns in India. He was speaking in Shivamoga district in Karnataka on Monday. On the occasion, Mr. Modi inaugurated the Shivamoga airport and laid the foundation stone for various rail, road, water connection related projects. He said, before 2014, there were just 74 airports in India and the aviation sector was in the doldrums. But today, 74 additional airports are functional. He added that the order for 500 aircraft by Air India reflects the vibrant aviation sector in India.
आज भारत के एविएशन मार्केट का डंका पूरी दुनिया में बज रहा है। आने वाले समय में हजारों विमानों की जरूरत भारत में पड़ने वाली है। इन विमानों में काम करने के लिए हजारों युवाओं की जरूरत होगी। अभी हम भले ही ये विमान विदेशों से मंगा रहे हैं, लेकिन वो दिन दूर नहीं जब भारत के नागरिक मेड इन इंडिया पैसेंजर वाले प्लेन में प्रवास करेंगे।
The Indian Prime Minister also inaugurated and laid the foundation stone for development projects worth over 2,240 crore rupees at Belgavi. He released the 13th installment of over 16,000 crore rupees under Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Yojana to benefit 8 crore farmers across the country.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met Crown Prince Frederick and Princess Mary Elizabeth of Denmark in New Delhi on Monday. In a tweet, Dr. Jaishankar said, Conversation was held on sustainability and digital delivery in particular. He said various aspects of the new India have been shared with the royal couple. He said green strategic partnership is a driving force for strengthening ties between the two nations. The Danish royal couple, who arrived in New Delhi on Sunday, is on a 4-day visit to India. Controller and Auditor General of India, Girish Chandra Murmu, said that India's blue economy could be the next GDP gross domestic product multiplier. He was speaking at a seminar on blue economy organized as part of the G20 and Supreme Audit Institutions 20 in New Delhi today. Mr. Murmu said that India's exclusive economic zone of over 2 million square kilometres has a bounty of living and non-living resources with significant recoverable resources such as crude oil and natural gas. He added that the blue economy is intrinsically linked to the Sustainable Development Goals SDGs 14. This includes the conservation and sustainable use of the oceans, seas and marine resources for sustainable development. Mr. Murmu noted that the UN has declared the decade 2021 to 2030 as the decade of ocean science for sustainable development. He added that the SAIs can make recommendations on how the government could direct their efforts and policies for the sustainable development of the blue economy of the nations. Blue economy refers to a wide range of economic activities pertaining to the sustainable development of resources and possessions in the oceans, connecting rivers, water bodies and coastal regions, and with a focus on equity, inclusion, innovation and modern technology.
The Women 20 W20 Inception meeting under India's presidency began in Maharashtra on Monday. Women 20 is an official engagement group under India's G20 presidency. Addressing the inaugural session, India's Women and Child Development Minister, Smriti Irani, said W20 will give guidance on how to use best practices to make empowerment of women more effective. Around 150 women dignitaries from G20 member countries, guest countries and special invitees are participating in the 2-day meet. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you news commentary. Prime Minister's Mann Ki Baat, PM hails India's digital strides, eSanjeevani and UPI.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi richly hailed India's digital strides in recent years in the 98th episode of the monthly broadcast Mann Ki Baat over the All India Radio Network. While digital health connectivity has brought patients and healthcare professionals closer, Prime Minister Modi noted with satisfaction that people in Singapore and India can now conveniently transfer money by using the Unified Payments Interface UPI services. The Prime Minister has been a consistent advocate of the Digital India campaign. Mr. Modi spoke to a doctor, Madan Mani, who has been working wonders by using the digital platforms to connect with patients from remote locations in Sikkim. The Prime Minister acquainted the listeners of All India Radio's Mann Ki Baat program about the impact of eSanjeevani app in the lives of the people. Indeed, the COVID-19 pandemic hastened the adoption of the digital tools in accessing healthcare facilities. India, being the IT capital of the world, has seen exponential growth in adoption of digital mode by Indians in their daily lives. From payment wallets to accessing services in the public and private space, digital tools have become the mainstay in the lives of the people. This was richly noted by Mr. Modi in his radio broadcast. Sticking to the conversational style of the radio program in which Mr. Modi shares several anecdotes, the Prime Minister inquired about the way doctors in Sikkim connect with patients in far-flung areas while also following medical protocols of checking the test reports and the physical attributes. The Prime Minister also checked with the patient to familiarize with the ease of access to telemedicine. Undeniably, technology-enabled telemedicine push, encouraged and supported by the central government, has helped in scaling up the scope of coverage of healthcare to a vast population of the country who otherwise spent more money and time in accessing medical help. Different apps play a big role in taking the power of Digital India to every home. There is one such app, eSanjeevani. Through this app, teleconsultation, that is, while sitting far away through video conference, one can consult a doctor about one's illness. Till now, the number of teleconsultants using this app has crossed the figure of 10 crore, noted Mr. Modi. UPI transactions in India have stunned the developed world. The ease of life has seen significant change for the better because of digital banking in the country. The Prime Minister hailed the success of the UPI. He said many countries of the world are drawn towards it. Just a few days ago, UPI Pay Now link was launched between India and Singapore. Now, people of Singapore and India are transferring money from their mobile phones in the same way as they do within their respective countries. Mr. Modi expressed happiness that people have started taking advantage of it. Prime Minister Modi has richly acquainted the audience of Mann Ki Baat with several people all around the world who have been doing pioneering works in diverse areas. Kanchan Banerjee, who lives in the US, found mention in the marquee radio program as the Prime Minister applauded him for his campaign to preserve heritage. Tribeni Kumbho Mahotsav was organized this month in Bansberia of Hooghly district in West Bengal. More than 8 lakh devotees participated in it, said Mr. Modi, while further informing that the tradition was revived after 700 years. The Prime Minister underlined that Tribeni in West Bengal has been known as a holy place for centuries, as it finds mention in various Mangala Kavya, Vaishnava literature, Shakta literature and other Bangla literary works. The Mann Ki Baat program is also contributing to the preservation of Indian heritage, as seen in stellar participation in 3 competitions unveiled by the Prime Minister on the occasion of Unity Day in 3 categories: Geet, patriotic songs, lullabies and Rangoli. The Prime Minister hailed the participation of over 5 lakh people from more than 700 districts in the country in the competitions. Waste to Wealth campaign is also witnessing people's participation. The Prime Minister shared inspiring stories from Haryana and Odisha of individual efforts of people who are lending their hands in the Clean India campaign.
India's Minister of State for Fisheries, Dr. L. Murugan, has said that the fishermen issue will be discussed at the minister-level meeting to be held between India and Sri Lanka in April this year. Speaking to the media at Chennai on Monday, Dr. Murugan said the government was very concerned about the plight of the fishermen and their economy. He said that the government had provided more than 50,000 GPS instruments to the fishermen to identify the sea boundaries as a precautionary measure. He said that the fishermen issue was taken up even during his recent Sri Lankan visit. He said a joint-level committee of secretaries have been set up between the countries to find a remedy for the fishermen issues. Sri Lanka's State Minister of Finance, Ranjit Siambalpitiya, assured that eggs imported from India will be sold to food manufacturers at a price of 30 Lankan rupees. Highlighting that the eggs being imported by the State Trading Corporation STC will not be released into the market, Mr. Siambalpitiya emphasized that only the STC has been permitted to import eggs into the island nation. The Cabinet of Ministers in the island nation recently approved the importation of eggs in a bid to address the shortage of eggs in the market and to bring down the soaring prices.
The Bangladesh Cabinet on Monday passed a proposal that paved the way for its citizens to acquire dual citizenship of 44 more countries. Previously, Bangladesh citizens could hold dual citizenship of 57 countries besides their country of birth. We have a report.
People born in Bangladesh can now obtain dual citizenship of the country even while they are citizens of any of the listed 101 countries in the world. Bangladesh Cabinet expanded the list to include 44 more countries from where dual citizenship will be permitted. Out of these 44 countries, 19 countries are in Africa, 12 countries are in South America, 12 are in the Caribbean region, and 1 in Oceania. Some of the major countries in the newly expanded list include Egypt, South Africa, Kenya, Algeria, Sudan, Brazil, Bolivia, Argentina, Peru, Chile, Cuba, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados and Fiji, among others. Bangladesh allows for dual citizenship under limited circumstances based on procedures prescribed by the government. Bangladeshi origin people who are citizens of the USA, UK, Australia, Canada and Europe are allowed to take up dual citizenship of Bangladesh. Such people, based on their application and fulfilling certain conditions, are issued a dual nationality certificate and they can obtain a Bangladeshi passport apart from the passport of those countries. However, people with dual citizenship are not permitted to become members of parliament or contest elections in Bangladesh. People from the SAARC region are not allowed to have dual citizenship as per Bangladeshi law. Rajesh Jha for World News, All India Radio, Dhaka.
In Nepal, 8 political parties have decided to support the Nepalese Congress candidate for presidential election. The parties held a meeting at the Prime Minister's official residence in Baluwatar yesterday. During the meeting, the 8 political parties decided to form a task force led by NC Vice President Purn Bahadur Khadka in view of the presidential polls to be held on the 9th of March. The 8 parties attending the meeting were Nepali Congress, CPN Maoist Centre and CPN Unified Socialist, Janata Samajwadi Party JSP, Loktantrik Samajwadi Party, Janmat Party, Rashtriya Jan Morcha and Nagarik Unmukti Party.
India's ambassador to Nepal, Naveen Srivastava, handed over the college building of Madan Bhandari Memorial in Kathmandu to the College Management Committee. The building has been constructed with the financial assistance of Government of India. Talking to AIR News, Mr. Srivastava said the project has taken up as a high-impact community development project at a total cost of 28.64 million Nepalese rupee under the Nepal-India Development Cooperation.
This building was built with the support of Government of India under our developmental cooperation partnership with Nepal. The building comprises of 29 classrooms, library, conference halls, other facilities. Just as a background, India, through our embassy, has been doing such community developmental projects, what we call is high-impact community development projects, since the year 2003. And till date, in almost all the districts of Nepal, we have undertaken more than 530 such projects.
Since its inception, the college has achieved remarkable success in terms of quality education and infrastructural development. This college is affiliated with Tribhuvan University and has over 1,500 students from different districts of the country and offers a variety of courses. This is All India Radio giving you the world news.
Welcome back. You're listening to World News. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky fired a senior military commander on Sunday. In a decree, the president announced the dismissal of Eduard Moskalyov as commander of the Joint Forces of Ukraine, which are engaged in battles in the Donbass region. Mr. Moskalyov had been holding the post since March 2022, shortly after Russia started special military operations in Ukraine. Meanwhile, Russia's former president Dmitry Medvedev said that the continued arms supply to Kiev risks a global nuclear catastrophe. However, Russian forces are making concerted efforts to capture the two eastern regions. Britain and the European Union proclaimed a new chapter in relations on Monday as they agreed for a crucial overhaul of trade rules in Northern Ireland that aims to ease tensions stoked by Brexit. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen adopted the deal at a meeting in Windsor, west of London. The landmark deal follows more than a year of tense talks over the Northern Ireland Protocol, which has caused unease in the province after a significant peace agreement that ended 3 decades of armed conflict. Agreed in 2020 as part of Britain's EU divorce, the pact kept the province in the European single market for physical goods and subject to different customs rules than the rest of the UK, angering pro-UK unionists there and Eurosceptics in London. The UK government had threatened a unilateral overhaul of the protocol unless the EU agreed to wholesale changes, souring diplomatic ties and risking a wider trade war. In a joint press conference with European Commission President, the UK Prime Minister said, "This is the beginning of a new chapter in our relationship." Ms. von der Leyen heralded the historic agreement that would ensure a stronger EU-UK relationship to tackle shared challenges such as the Russia-Ukraine conflict and climate change. She said the new Windsor framework will benefit people in the Northern Ireland and support all communities celebrating peace on the island of Ireland.
Iran's currency on Sunday fell to a new record low amid the nationwide anti-government protests and the breakdown of the 2015 nuclear deal. Traders in Tehran were exchanging the rial at around 6 lakh to the dollar after the currency plunged further from 5 lakh rials for $1 on Wednesday. According to media reports, people have formed long lines in front of exchange offices in recent days, hoping to acquire increasingly scarce dollars. Many have seen their life savings evaporate as the local currency has deteriorated. Meanwhile, according to Iran's Statistics Center, the inflation reached 53.4% in January, up from 41.4% 2 years ago. Iran's currency was trading at 32,000 riyals to the dollar when it signed the 2015 nuclear accord with world powers. Iran has been gripped by nationwide protests since September. Demonstrations broke out following the death of 22-year-old Mahsa Amini in the custody of the country's morality police. A magnitude 5.6 earthquake shook southern Turkey on Monday, 3 weeks after a catastrophic tremor devastated the region, causing some already damaged buildings to collapse and killing at least one person. Country's disaster management agency, AFAD, said 69 people were injured as a result of the Monday's earthquake, which was centered in the town of Yeşilyurt in Malatya province. Malatya was among 11 Turkish provinces that was hit hard by the 7.8 magnitude earthquake that devastated parts of southern Turkey and northern Syria on 6th of this month. That quake led to the death of more than 50,000 people in both countries, as well as the collapse of 1,73,000 buildings in Turkey. Disaster Management Agency of Turkey urged people not to enter damaged buildings, saying strong aftershocks continue to pose a risk. Close to 10,000 aftershocks have hit the region affected by the quake since 6th of February.
In Mexico, tens of thousands of people on Sunday protested against an electoral reform approved by the ruling party-controlled Congress that is widely perceived as an attack on democracy ahead of the 2024 presidential polls. Political and civic organizations joined forces for the show of discontent, gathering on Mexico City's main square, Zocalo, and in other cities under the slogan, Mi voto no se toco, hands off my vote. Saying the National Electoral Institute is under threat, protesters denounced the majority move by President Andrés Manuel López Obrador's backers to reduce the independent body's size and budget. The legislation must now be enacted by President López, who championed the change. The president, whose popularity hovers at about 60%, cannot seek re-election as the constitution bars more than one 6-year term. He has ruled out trying to change the constitution to stay in office, but is nevertheless keen to see his Morena party hold on to power. The opposition vowed to challenge the reform in the Supreme Court. The High Court in India's national capital on Monday upheld the validity of the Agnipath military recruitment scheme. Dismissing a batch of petitions against the recruitment scheme, the court said it was formulated in national interest and to ensure that the armed forces are better equipped. The court said there is no reason to interfere in the scheme. During the hearing, Additional Solicitor General Aishwarya Bhati appeared for the central government and submitted before the court that more than 10 lakh aspirants have been given the benefit of age relaxation. The Agnipath scheme is a major paradigm shift in the recruitment process for defense personnel.
An Indian Air Force contingent comprising 145 air warriors has departed from Air Force Station Jamnagar to participate in Exercise Cobra Warrior at the Waddington Air Force Base of the Royal Air Force in the United Kingdom. The Exercise Cobra Warrior is a multilateral air exercise in which air forces from Finland, Sweden, South Africa, the United States of America and Singapore would also be participating. The exercise aims to participate in fighter aircraft engagements and learn from the best practices of various air forces. The IAF will be participating in the exercise with 5 Mirage 2000 fighters, 2 C-17 Globemaster III and an IL-78 mid-air refuel aircraft. The tourists on board world's longest river cruise MV Ganga Vilas on Monday visited the historic Sivsagar town, which is famous for monuments and palaces of the Ahom Kingdom in the northeastern part of Assam. The tourists, comprising 26 Swiss and 2 German nationals, visited Ranghar, Talatalghar and Sivadol in the heritage town. The tourists enjoyed Bihu dance performances organized by the Sivsagar district administration. Earlier in the day, the tourists visited the Auniyati, Uttar Kamalabadi and Samagudi Satras in the world's largest river island, Majuli. MV Ganga Vilas will culminate its journey in Dibrugarh on Tuesday. A welcome ceremony will be organized by the Inland Waterways Authority of India in Dibrugarh on the same day. The event will be graced by Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways, Sarbananda Sonowal, along with other union ministers, state ministers, diplomats and concerned officials. MV Ganga Vilas, a cruise vessel made in India, was flagged off by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi from Varanasi on the 13th of last month.
In the United States, powerful storms with widespread wind gusts and reported tornadoes swept across Oklahoma and Kansas, leaving more than a dozen people injured. Possible tornadoes and widespread wind gusts up to 90 miles per hour were reported in Oklahoma, with downed trees and power lines, road closures and damage to homes around Norman and Shawnee. Officials in Norman, about 32 kilometers south of Oklahoma City, said there were 12 confirmed weather-related injuries, but none were considered critical. The National Weather Service said a tornado touched down near Liberal in Kansas on Sunday, in which more than a dozen homes were reported damaged. One person received minor injuries as well. The Storm Prediction Center said the severe weather threat remained on Monday, as thunderstorms were expected to produce damaging gusts across the Ohio Valley. At least a few tornadoes were also possible. In hard-hit southeastern Michigan, authorities continue to work to restore electricity following last week's ice storm and high winds. California, meanwhile, got a brief break from severe weather after a powerful storm a day earlier swelled Los Angeles area rivers to dangerous levels, flooding roads and dumping snow at elevations as low as about 1,000 feet. In business news, the Sensex and the Nifty closed with losses today. A report from the business desk.
The Sensex dropped 176 points or 0.30% to end at 59,288. The Nifty 50 fell 73 points or 0.42% to close at 17,393. Among global stock markets, Asian shares ended in the negative territory. Japan's Nikkei 225 fell 0.1%, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng and China's Shanghai Composite declined 0.3% each. Singapore's Straits Times slipped 0.6% and South Korea's Kospi ended 0.9% down. However, European shares were up in intraday trade. Oil prices rose as Russia halted exports to Poland via a key pipeline. The increase comes ahead of a hefty supply cut announced for March, but a stronger dollar and fears of recession capped gains. In intraday trade, Brent crude was trading at $83 per barrel. Back home at the Multi-Commodity Exchange, gold futures for April was trading at 55,365 rupees per 10 grams. Silver futures for March was trading at 63,235 rupees per kilogram. Anubha Rohatgi for World News, All India Radio.
Now let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Financial Times reports U.S. companies say it is easier to hire despite low jobless rate. The Straits Times reports France seeks pro-nuclear alliance for EU energy talks. The Globe and Mail reports Israel sends more troops to occupied West Bank after deadly shooting, settler rampage. The Washington Post writes, Biden's student loan forgiveness program comes before Supreme Court. The Japan Times reports Japan needs more than just new visa options to attract highly skilled workers. The New York Times writes UK and Brussels are close to a deal on the Brexit sticking point. South China Morning Post says UN chief slams climate wrecking firms at human rights meeting in Geneva.
And a quick look at the headlines once again. Made in India passenger aircraft to take to the sky soon, connecting small cities and towns in the country, asserts Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi. President of India Draupadi Murmu lays emphasis on wide publicity of country's art, traditions and culture through new technology. Blue Economy of India to be the next GDP multiplier, says Controller and Auditor General of India. Women 20 Inception meeting under India's G20 presidency begins in Maharashtra. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky fires a senior military commander. Iran's currency hits new low amid anti-government protests. 5.6 magnitude earthquake hits Turkey, toppling more buildings, one person killed. And tornadoes and severe winds destroy homes, leaving several injured across central United States. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Myanmar.
Sohone bande ning
And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.